You brought me to Terrace? Oh, this place has the best blue milk.
Dills, I promise, it's a little place at the starport, nowhere near the quarantine zone.
Master, allow me to get that door.
Quarantine zone? Rock will play me. It's old news, no biggie. Hey, drinks are on me.
Activating HoloNet. Connection established. Beginning broadcast.
And welcome to another episode of the Cantina Band. Yep, we squeezed one in while we could. It's me, Adam Pulowski, and of course, as always, hello, Brian. How you doing?
Oh, you could call me deadweight brushwood this week, because that's all I'm good for. I'm just dragging the podcast down.
I don't know about that. But Brian's coming to us live from a hotel room in, Petaluma, California?
Yeah, there? Petaluma. We're just about to, as soon as we're done here, I have to run and go shoot some stuff for Game On, for tomorrow's Sunday night show.
Well, I know a lot of folks have been, hitting me up. I want to just throw that out there right away. A lot of you lately have been sending me tells, when I'm playing. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Glad you're listening. So I know the folks will appreciate you squeezing us in when you could. But we're not alone. We always bring some sort of mystery guest with us. So I decided to kidnap a fine co-host that I know out there, a gentleman from the Old Republic edition as well. That's right. Willie Dills is joining us. Dills, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, guys. Good to be here. You're in Petaluma, you said?
Yeah,
right
out of Leo Port's Twit Studios.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, I'm in San Francisco. I'm, super close to those guys.
Oh, right on. I probably drove right by you. Now I'm going to turn around and say hi. I actually, as soon as we're done tomorrow, I get on a red-eye flight for an overnight. But we ought to have you out on Game On sometime.
Yeah, definitely. I've always actually wanted to check out the Twit Studios live in person because I've been on a couple shows there. Oh, you totally should.
They're very, very impressive. You'll really dig them.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
We're here to talk Old Republic. It's been, oh my goodness, a month, I think. A little over a month since last we talked.
I haven't talked to you about the Old Republic since
pre-launch.
You were on episode 2?
Yeah, I think I was on an early episode of the tour show, as we nicknamed it on Twitter, with you guys, which I really appreciate. I really dig what you guys do. And I haven't had a chance to talk to you since the game's actually launched and we're actually touching it and playing it and all of that. So let's catch up with you, Dills. Where are you in the game? Where are you at with it? What are you playing lately?
So my Marauder, my Sith Marauder is about 30 right now, I think, Dills, and that's my main. But I've kind of gotten to a point where I've started to play a bunch of different characters up to 10. About the point when you leave your first planet. And I'm just finding that I love those stories so much and you can kind of get through it in a night or so. So I've kind of been doing a lot of that. So I played now the Smuggler, Agent, Inquisitor, and I'm starting up what was the last one that I was going to do? A Trooper is now the most recent one that I've got going.
Yeah,
so
they're all fun.
Yeah, and my Bounty Hunter, which I thought was going to be my original tune. I don't know if anybody remembers from the early episodes of the Instance Tour Edition. Me and Scott were both saying, "Oh, Bounty Hunter all the way." That's definitely what we're doing. That guy's kind of sat on the shelf. I got him to about 17 or so, and just kind of moved on to the Marauder. I just love dual wielding lightsabers. So.
Yeah, everyone's got their thing. Everyone's got their thing they kind of just gel with, And it's not
as soon
always
as I did that, as soon as I pulled 2 lightsabers out and just took somebody out, I was like, all right, this is for me.
So what are you playing mainly sort of like a tank spec, or are you more of a DPS spec?
No, the Marauder's actually 3 DPS specs. You can't even choose anything else once you go down that path.
All right.
So, which is kind of weird. I think it's might be the only class like that. I'm not sure. The only advanced class like that.
I think Jedi Knight has a similar mirror class. I think Sentinel is the same way. It's varying degrees of... but I might be wrong. I haven't looked too hard. I'm sure someone's writing an angry email right now.
Or angry just that we don't know for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
We get a lot of that too. but yeah, I mean it's pure DPS, but I mean that's always really. I mean I've tanked in other MMOs and things like that. I've healed, but really DPSing is kind of where I'm best. Okay. So I don't really mind not, having any other options there. So
it's definitely, and it can also be the easier class to play in a group sometimes. You don't have
just
all the pressure on
stuff.
you. Yeah,
yeah.
Pointing
Especially when there's no
the
mods.
Yeah.
There's no mods. I don't know how much threat I have. I don't know how much DPS I'm doing. It's actually great. It's great. I'm just running around hitting stuff.
Yeah.
And they're totally, in bliss, ignorant bliss. I don't know how good or bad I play. It's fantastic.
Just having fun. How about you, Brian?
Dude,
what are you doing?
I got sick this past week,
Yeah.
and this week I thought I'd actually have time, and then I got sick, and I was like, hey, man, this is awesome. I'm up at 6 a.m. There's nothing for me to do. I'm going to play some Tor. And I log in for the first time in like 2 weeks, and it says, servers are currently down for maintenance. And so I was like, get out of town. Really? So the fates conspired against me. I haven't played. That's why I'm dead weight this week. But the folks over at the NSFW Guild, the Not Safe for Wookiees, told me that they just finished their first hard operation.
Very nice.
Yeah, so they finished their first big deal.
Yeah, no, Diamond Club's doing the same thing. We certainly have our batch of hardcore players who have dived into the end game, so to speak, pretty regularly at this point. We're definitely starting to see our more casual players are all approaching, the last leg of their hitting 50s. So it's going to be a lot more activity that way going on. But I've been kind of sitting out endgame myself since last we talked. I'm how do I put this? This sounds so scandalous. So before I complain, I want to make this very clear.
Well, first of all, that's a hell of an introduction. I like where you're already.
I want to make this very clear. I'm still enjoying the game. There's still a lot to enjoy. It's very rich content. I am a freak of nature.
I know what this is about.
I am a freak of nature that got to Cap very early because of my time in beta and the amount of time I was able to commit to playing when it came out. But what happened was as I leveled through the game, it didn't really matter the mix of my party, and you just end up playing with your friends and the people who have the same kind of schedules as you and, the same sort of perseverance or attitude about, if we wipe, we wipe, just like-minded folks. And I ended up kind of playing with the same handful of people all the time, but that party mix ended up being 2 healers, 2 DPS. While approach level 50, suddenly the hard mode flashpoints, obviously operations, and I get operations/rage should have a specific mix, but hard mode stuff suddenly became, if you don't have a tank, 2 DPS, and a healer, you cannot kill these bosses in time before their enrage and timers kick in. And so now I'm the extra healer in the group. So it's either respec to DPS or sit out and go level an alt. And
so you've been leveling a lot of alts, I guess.
So I was really annoyed by that. I'm really annoyed by that because it's not the game experience I had. And I'm kind of the opinion that hard mode flashpoints are too hard. All the bosses seem to have, or the majority of them, seem to have very short enrage timers. And this is a new thing for me. So for those who don't know, haven't seen Endgame before, an enrage timer is put on these bosses that basically says, you have to kill this boss in 3 minutes or his damage output is going to quadruple on you. So,
right.
So that means what was happening was because I was the extra healer and we were shorter DPS, we couldn't
hold on.
kill anything.
Why do you have to be the extra healer? Why can't the other guy be the extra
Well,
one?
I know, and to be fair, the other guy had offered, I'll sit this out. But
then you don't have anything to complain about then.
But this guy was my buddy
in the game, right?
But this guy was my buddy leveling up throughout the whole game. And now my buddy's saying, "Oh, well, I can't play with you now." That's my complaint. They suddenly the game flips a switch.
It sounds like a boner in that experience, but it's like, I don't know, what are they going to change the whole game?
Well, here's my point. This enrage timer thing was not a mechanic we had to deal with at all leveling up. So suddenly...
So you're saying it's the inconsistency of the gameplay that...
Exactly. This was not the experience you gave me, this mix and match. As long as you have 4 players on their toes, you can go through 95% of the content, no problem. As long as everyone works together as a team. Now the game becomes, no, you have to have tank, 2 DPS, a healer. And I just think this is easily fixed by, say, taking these enrage timers and call this hard mode that it is right now nightmare mode and make hard mode the same thing without the enrage timers.
Man, I'll tell you what, if there's ever been a more open invitation for emails to chime in on this issue. Because to be honest, I can't speak to it because I haven't had that experience, but it sounded like it really drove you nuts. And I don't know if you're speaking for the masses or if you're just grousing because you had a bad experience one night. And I want to hear from the folks who just sent us an email at what is it, thecantinaband@gmail.com?
Yep, thecantinaband@gmail.com, or the voicemail. You can give us a call too.
I think though that the other way that it could be remedied is if it wasn't so easy to go through with any random party early on as well.
Yeah, I suppose
if you're going to have a flashpoint and you're going to have tank, DPS, and healers, and you're going to say that's we're sticking with that holy triumvirate, then it's like, oh, I don't even need a tank. That's kind of weird. When you say like a tank is a tank and a healer is a healer and a DPS is a DPS, then you make it that you don't even need those. I can go in with like 4 healers and be fine early on. That, I think, in a way, like that's a little bit misleading to have it be that way early on and then suddenly switch like that.
Okay, so
I think you're onto something. I just think that I don't know if the right way is to just make it easy at the end or maybe make it more challenging early.
And don't get, I want to make this clear. What the hard mode flashpoints are, it's a handful of the stuff that you played while you were leveling, now bumped up to 50. But the bosses go, from being what you would think just of a normal Flashpoint boss to like level 50 champions that are like insanely hard. And it's like, I get a lot of folks want, and I don't mind that challenge. Just don't ask me to do it in 3 minutes is all. Really.
With a timer on there. So it's, I see.
My complaint is more the timer. If there wasn't a timer on those bosses, I could go through with my 2 DPS and 2 healers because that's just what who was around tonight. There's definitely been gating of, well, we can't find a tank. We can't find a tank. Oh, we don't have enough DPS tonight. So I don't know. That and my rhythm augmentation droid is still broken. I'm not happy about that. For those of you, Dills, I don't know if you may not have heard about this.
No, I have not heard.
Out of the security key vendor, there was a very cool item called a rhythm augmentation droid. It costs 55,000 credits.
Mm-hmm.
And you call it lasts for 30 seconds, and it's an R2 unit that has a bunch of speakers out, and it plays some music.
It's a boombox robot.
It's a boombox robot.
Okay.
They nerfed it when 1.1 came out. For some reason, it stopped playing music. It's now just a droid that sits there for 30 seconds. It doesn't play any music.
Okay. That sounds like the most pointless thing ever now.
Especially for 55,000 credits,
Yeah. Yeah.
So they broke it. And I was like, why is this broken? Well, word got back to me, and it's like, apparently, there hasn't been like a big dev post on it, but it has been talked about, is in PvP, Jedi Knights were using it to force sleep up to levels in Huckball.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was being abused somehow in PvP. So so apparently to stop that, they broke it, but they still haven't fixed it. So now I'm very upset about this. This makes me sad.
Which is an interesting tactic. Which is like, it's like in the short term, you're like, all right, we got this abuse. How do we stop it? It's like, well, I know how we stop it this minute. Let's just break let's turn kill
break
the music.
The thing. Yeah. You know what though? Like that's even weird to me. Like, how many times can you be abusing something like this? So you put it out for 30 seconds. Is there a cooldown on how many times?
30 minutes too, which made no sense to me as just a social player who thought it was funny to pull it out while we waited for everyone to congregate for a flashpoint,
Yeah. So someone's pulling it out on the top of the thing, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
And then someone else is jumping to it. That's you know what, I gotta commend these guys who figure this stuff out.
Yeah, it's clever.
I know.
30 seconds, that's all you have. You get one use probably in the game.
So apparently, and then
to your advantage.
Nope. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I don't think of this kind of stuff. I just don't.
I know. I'm just playing the game, man. I just want to dance to some tunes. Come on. And this last update, they broke the Holo Dancer. If you have the collector's edition, you can call out, Twi'lek Holo Dancer, or the Digital Deluxe edition. I think has it. And they broke it. So now you just call a Twi'lek in her bikini, and she just stands there for 30 seconds.
Just stand there awkwardly. It's a new creeper feature is what they call it. They're like, look at her. She's so attractive.
Oh, my God.
You think she plays Star Wars The Old Republic? Why don't you ask her name?
Are you a real girl?
Yes. Yes, I am a real girl here for all of your fantasies.
Oh my goodness. So that's all right. So I've been just kind of focusing on and to be fair, the guild has tried very hard to pull my grumpy ass into an operation.
No, look, we think it's great that Andy Rooney was able to join us on this podcast. Thank you very much.
And matter of fact, I did finally get a chance to see Eternity Vault in Karaga's Palace the other night. We apparently we're going to finish on Sunday night, so at least I've seen it. It just seems like Endgame right now is very much sort of very copy and lift of what I've heard about Endgame and WoW, that it just kind of becomes all about progressing through different levels of gear repeatedly. And it does kind of seem like that's all that's there at Endgame right now. And I'm like, I'm really looking for more like social stuff. I really wish I could sit down and play like Sobek or Hollow Chess with somebody. Like other reasons to be logged in other than grinding gear, So
things, yeah.
What it really has
to
be about is not the gear. It has to be about the gear allowing you to then go kill the boss where the fight was amazing. Like that's, to me, like that's what that has to be. If you feel like the gear is the reward and not the fight and the ability to actually perform well in these fights, then that's bad. That's a bad sign.
Yeah.
Because it really should be like, I just need this gear so that I can play the next, I can, move on to the next level of difficulty.
I can handle the guy at the end of this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then I get to see that fight, because that's really what the most epic endgame stuff has always been to me, is when, you've done all the preparation and everything, and then you barely eke out a victory over this really challenging boss,
Yeah.
And you get that feeling. That's what it should be about. So if they've made it feel like you're just cycling in and out gear, that's not good. I haven't been there yet, so.
So I want to call attention to it now. I know folks at BioWare listen to the show. Hi, Hall Hood. I see you follow us on Twitter. Love everything that's happened up until this point. So and I know that hey, it's just give it time, it'll breathe. But that's where I'm at as someone who's a very content focused person. It was like I really would be having a lot more fun. Like I've given up on hard mode Flashpoints because it's just wipe after wipe after wipe, and it's just me outlaying large sums of money for no reward. And I'm like, and we never finish anything, so it's like I'd be having a lot more fun if these were toned down just a little bit, so I could just jump in on a whim and say, yeah, we're going to go do this hard mode whatever tonight, because
it would be hard mode. You'd have to call it Adam mode or something.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the emails are going to come, and they're not going to be kind to you, sir.
Yeah.
He's predicting it now. I think that as time passes and there's more, there's more operations and things like that in the game.
Yeah.
The older stuff will become like nerfed, and there will be more. But right now, there's not a lot of selection.
This is true.
So you're kind of locked out of the only thing that's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think that's why it feels that way now. I think, as time goes on, it won't feel that way
Speaking
anymore.
of Hall Hood, I do just want to say that if, you've been playing Sith characters a lot and you're looking for a lighthearted romp, try the Smuggler class. It is laugh out loud funny, like consistently. I pop in and out, I play a little bit, and then I go back to doing other things, but oh my God, every time I move forward in the class story on that class, it just funny stuff's always happening. And it's just very entertaining. Very entertaining. So
I'll also say make sure your smuggler has a mustache, because it's just wrong if they don't.
What were you going to say, Brian?
Oh, no, actually, I'm totally down with it. In fact, I made my smuggler look like Dick DiBartolo of the Gizwiz.
I remember
on the
that.
Twit
Yes,
Network.
you did. Yes, you did. So there's been some news. Well, we should probably touch base on some of that real quick. This is slightly old news to you, Dills. There was the EA investors call a couple weeks ago. Talked about, and there's a bunch of stats that came out of that. Over 2 million units were sold in just over a month for the game. That's insane. Like it's apparently broken a bunch of records. I thought this was
now does that hold on? That also is there a little bit of a fudge to that, considering how many of them were pre-orders? And I mean, essentially they've been selling for 6 months straight, and then they just call it all sold in 1 month, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that might.
I mean, that's got to be a little bit of sliding. I mean, don't get me wrong, still impressive, but it's like.
But
let's not pretend we went from 0 to 2 million.
Yeah, no, this is true. They're definitely riding high on that. They're saying they have 1.7 million active subscribers. Again, these numbers might be old. That's probably gone up since then. This was the one metric I thought was very cool. 1 million users log in per day, staying in game for an average of 4 hours per day.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing that people are logging in and staying in the game for 4 hours at a time, and 1 million, like, it's more than half of what they're saying the active subscribers are. So that's a very active subscriber base right there, for sure.
Yeah. Hey, Dills, do you have any recall on where World of Warcraft was at the same time? And of course, World of Warcraft, when it launched, was in a very, very different position. It wasn't moving in on an established genre quite so much.
Well, there wasn't a World of Warcraft at the time before. Like, there wasn't a behemoth art. Like, there wasn't this gigantic, massive MMO already. Like, basically, EverQuest was the biggest thing around, and so,
or even the established category. Like if you sold an MMO to most people at that time, it was still, everyone's like, what?
Yeah, that was just an online RPG. Yeah. No, but so I think they were definitely below this. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think I saw that WoW, after this many, what has it only been like 3 or 4 months, right? How long has it really been?
December, we're looking at 2.5 months. 2.5 months.
2.5 months in. Yeah, there's no way that WoW was at 1.7 million active subscribers at that point.
Yeah,
there's just no way.
And I'm not looking at this as it's going to kill WoW, because I really do see there's plenty of room for everybody. Like I said, the different genres appeal to different people. But it does warm my heart that this time around, my Star Wars MMO is actually going to have people playing it.
Yeah. Yeah, you were a Galaxies player?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Did we talk about that when you were on
the show?
We
did. We've talked about it a bit. Yeah, a little bit. And but I very much embrace the new, and it warms my heart that so many folks are enjoying it, that, and people are really engaged, that I'm seeing in game. They've definitely done a lot good. So, my griping earlier is just, I'd like to see a little more variety there, but yeah, the content along the way has just been fantastic. So it's nice to see. They're expanding the game. They announced the Asia Pacific launch was coming. I guess Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, and Singapore are getting the game March 1st.
Oh, thank goodness. Finally, the credit farmers are coming.
Oh, they're already here, man.
The credit farmers. Yeah. I get mail. Have you guys noticed this? You get mail consistently, and it always has one credit in it.
Yep. Yeah, and they're like, hello, my friend.
Thanks for the credit, but yeah.
Hello, my friend. Good credits here. Yeah. So, okay, more power to them. We have we have a bunch of Australian folks in Diamond Club, actually. They're sort of our night shift, it seems. Hey, obviously they've got their call centers or their data centers set up, and they're ready to handle that part of the country now. So, also Guild Summit. Now I know AIE is sending Pellel.
Yeah, Pellel's going to be there representing us. So I was kind of bummed. I'm going to be in Austin, which I think this is at, right? The DoubleTree Hotel in Austin.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to be there about a week after this.
Oh.
So, yeah, it would have been cool to be able to go down at the same time. But
so we are not going to be there as a guild, but Brian is going to be sticking his head in during at least some point during those 3 days to kind of check it out.
I think the only night I'm going to be able to, because it's 3 nights, and the first night is on Sunday, so of course I'll be on the West Coast, and then the last night is Tuesday. And I've got NSFW that night, but I think on Monday the 5th, I might be able to run over there and give a firsthand report. And I do think it's great that they're really investing in the community and that they really want people to be heard. And to be honest, I would rather attend as a journalist just to watch than to actually form an opinion, because I obviously don't play nearly enough to have anything to grouse about.
Well, it definitely seems like, they really want to make sure, like, the guild, I mean, in Dills, AIE has a unique situation where you just have such a large volume of players, all gilded together, that you bring unique challenges to. All right, what happens if we raise the cap? How do we wrangle 4,000 players?
It's definitely unique, and it's almost weird to me, like, because when we were just a WoW guild, and when there was no cap, it was just this this giant abyss of players. Sometimes you threw people in there and they never came back out. They just got lost, And now with the way it is, it's almost kind of forced us to be more vigilant about keeping track of who's what and where and everything like that. And it's actually kind of been, in a way, a good thing to have the co-guilds and stuff like that. It's very strange how it all worked out for us. But yeah, we definitely bring unique challenges to the world of the MMO guild.
It forces you to be more like the Rotary Club with like your local 207 or whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you know what though? I'll say this: like within the massive body of AIE, you get a bunch of like little cliques of people who are just friends with whoever. But it's very similar to like living in. I would say it's similar to living in like a city or something like that, where I've got my neighborhood, and then I've got then sometimes I travel over to someone else's neighborhood and things like that. But there's always something happening. It's like a bustling activity out there. So that's the cool thing about it is when you log on at any time, any night, any day, whatever it might be, someone's gonna be playing, and you can just hit up guild chat and run a flashpoint or something. So.
Yeah. So obviously Pell has I play with Pell actually quite often. We became friends during beta and whatnot. So he's extended, if you have any questions or comments you want to pass along, he's like, I'll be sure to ask for you guys. But
oh, cool. Yeah. You guys are on Keller's Void too, right? Like, aren't we all? Okay.
We are all on Keller's Void. We are all, and I end up running with AIE all the time. It's one of those, if I end up doing, having to throw out to general to pick up somebody, if I see someone in AIE, I generally don't have to worry about, they're going to be just fine. I don't have to worry about them being a jerk, always good folks over there. So
how do you deal with that in a larger guild? How do you deal with do you ever get trouble reports like, hey man, other guilds are crabbing about this guy being a jerk or whatever? Do you have disciplinary? Do you have a code of conduct for AIE?
Yeah, no, we do actually, and quite often it's happening less and less now, or maybe I notice it less and less as I stop actually being an enforcing type officer. But we basically kick people out for douchebaggery. That's kind of the deal. Like if you don't represent AIE's values, then we have no qualms just letting you go. Because really, what it comes down to is we're not. People often say, "Oh, AIE's recruited all these people," but the real truth is that not one time have we ever recruited anybody.
Yeah,
it's all just people who want to come to AIE and whatever. I don't care why. Nobody cares why. They can come if they want to. But if you don't follow the rules that we lay down, you're gone pretty quick. So that's kind of the way. That's it's some people maybe feel that we've overused that at times, but the fact of the matter is we feel really strongly about making sure that the people who are in AIE represent AIE's values. So, which is basically being a good person in a game. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the values.
The Will Wheaton theory of don't be a dick. Yeah. You don't have to be a dick.
Yeah. If you're a dick, you gotta go. That's
I actually made it. We have two rules. It's very much the same thing with Diamond Club. If they say, "Hey, I'm over at Not Safe for Wookiees," or I'm a fan of Twit, or I'm a fan of the podcast, or as long as they identify with one of our little factions, so to speak, come on in, no problem. But there have been a couple times where we've had to, sorry man, you're just not working out. And let folks move on. It's like, we're just not the folks for you, sorry. So, sometimes you gotta, but, I'm knock on wood. We have a great bunch of folks over at Diamond Club, really good, and everyone seems to be on the same page about it. So, hey, it works out. It works out. Let's see. BioWare started doing some Q&As, and if you've been paying attention to these, there has been some real juicy information coming out as to what we can expect.
Go on.
In
Naked droids.
No rhythm augmentation droid fix yet, sadly.
Oh.
I'm going to run off some topics here. Some we've talked about before. Pipe up if you want to hear. Legacy system update. They have teased new race class combos are going to be available in there. Let's see. New Warzone. Second half of Rise of the Rackwolves. So new Flashpoint, new gear. That was kind of a new slip this week. Some new gears making its way into the game.
No specifics on what kind of gear?
It sounds like somebody had asked. Right now, all of the social gear in the game, like stuff you can buy from the vendors, like in the cantinas and stuff, all the social gear is light armor. So that leaves people who wear medium and heavy out for it being effective in any way. Mm-hmm. And someone was asking, hey, you're going to rectify this? This seems like a bit of a miss. And they're like, yeah, we got a bunch of stuff coming. New modables, new things you can do with the modable gear, new social items. So they've made it very clear that new gear across the board in general
Now all that social gear comes with mod slots, but nothing in it, right?
Exactly.
Like everything I've seen, yeah. So it's basically if you're not a heavy or medium armor user, there's just no point buying it at all.
Yeah, and it's ironic. I know on like the Sith side, I believe it's either in the VIP lounge or the security key vendor, you can buy a full suit of the Sith trooper armor. But it's light armor. That makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Like if I was a bounty hunter, and that was heavy armor, I'd buy that in a heartbeat, but so it sounds like they're going to be addressing a bunch of that stuff, bunch of guild features. We kind of saw that in the video we talked about last time, Brian, there's going to be,
yeah, sure. Well, I know that we were, that you were griping just the other day that there wasn't nearly enough customization at the high end, and that you wanted a more distinctive look. And kind of everybody looks like they got the same robes, just colored different colors.
Yeah, right now that is a lot of, and that's the other thing I dislike about end gear is it looks majority of it, especially for like a consular, looks really funky. And I don't mind that for a look, but it's the only look. It's just comes in 5 different color variations. It's like everyone looks the same, and it's like I'm not really crazy about that. It's not the variety I was expecting. So I think a lot of this new gear coming in is meant to help alleviate that. Part of that too, I know that's actually post stuff. Dual specking is going to be in 1.2 apparently. This is something I know I've heard you talk about, Dills. You're big on the idea of dual specking, but it's not going to let you flip between your advanced classes.
No,
which I'm fine with.
I feel in a way that I have a feeling that they're not going to change that, at least for a long time. I feel like this is the way they think of it, that there's basically 8 classes, not 4 classes, and then jump back and forth between the 2.
I agree.
Choices within that. I feel like they think of it as 8 distinct classes. So I don't have a problem with that for right now, because that does feel like a big choice, and I like that it's a big choice. And when you make that choice, they say, you can't go back on this,
I agree with you.
Yeah. So I'm into that. I think that's the way it should work.
But it will help some of those classes, like a Jedi Guardian can either spec as a tank or DPS. And
it'll help your situation that you were just describing, though, too, where, on extra healer. Now it's like, well, let me just swap real quick to DPS.
I agree. You're right. It would fix that a little bit. And this is just personal preference, I did try that. I switched my healer counselor to a DPS. And what happens is you end up having to rearrange you end up using a set of skills that were very like secondary as a healer that you almost never touched. They became like your primary skills, and the class played completely differely. Yeah. So it just didn't feel right for me. But I can see how
that
for
should be a good thing, though. I mean, if you're going to change gears and it feels the same, then what's the whole point?
You're right.
Like,
that is a
good
good
thing.
thing.
Put on a costume to be something different.
Nope, you're absolutely right. You're right. And I suppose in this, and so my solution to this was, I'm not going to respec my healer that I leveled as a healer to play this certain way. I'm going to go level a DPS class for DPS then, so I'll catch up on that, but
you are a beast. You're a freak of nature.
No, I'm not. I just had a lot of free time, although I haven't been able to play. I've been busy, believe it or not, myself, so I haven't had as much time to play in the last few weeks either. But so no, I'm all for being able to switch between you don't need a tank tonight, I'll be DPS, and being able to be an effective DPS. Sure, no problem. I leave but I agree with you 100%. I think making that advanced class choice, because again, they play so radically differently that you really do need to level up with that class in order to really understand its subtlety. Being able to switch from one advanced class to the other on a whim, not really crazy. Wouldn't want to see that happen. But a lot of folks were asking for it, so this will make a lot of folks happy. Bringing back something that was in beta, the hue to chest system. Originally, you had an option in preferences that allowed you to color match everything. This would be useful for trooper. Like, you'll get trooper armor, and some of it will be decoed with some orange trim. Some will have red, some will have blue, and you start looking like a clown. The match to chest system would take those random pieces and match to whatever the color of the chest was.
So wait, that was in the beta but not in the current release?
Exactly. For some reason, at the 11th hour, they took it out and said, what's happening is it doesn't look like you're getting any new gear. And so we're going to bring the system back after launch, but it will have some better features. And that way players will feel like they're getting different gear. And it's true. You do notice more when suddenly your boots change color, so so that's coming back. More UI options, including, and I needed this, I'm not a big, let's have add-ons for the game by a third party. I'm not a big fan of those per se. I think it's something BioWare should do in-house. But I do want more customization in the UI, and Target of Target was one I really need.
Yeah.
And it's coming. It's coming. They're like the UI options will include Target of Target, and threat meters apparently are going to be in there as well, if I remember that correctly. So, so that's going to make playing roles like healers and tanks a lot easier for folks, having that kind of information at their fingertips. Orbital stations, Brian, have you run into this in your game yet?
No, not at all. What is going on with these?
Okay, orbital station. I'm trying to think. Balmora, I think, has one where you like a big planet like Droman Kos, you fly right down from space down to the station.
No, I've seen an orbital station.
Orbital stations, you land there, you got to run through it, then you take then you got to take a shuttle down to the planet. It's like a bunch of loads.
Yeah,
sure. Those are going away.
What?
Oh, good.
Why?
Be too many load screens. Way too many load screens.
Yeah, and the load screens all take a long time too. So
big time.
It really slows play down.
So apparently that you're going to be able to shuttle right from leaving your ship to coming out of a shuttle on the planet's surface. And they said there's going to be some more stuff they're doing that's going to help sort of expedite your travel through areas like that. That way, you just don't feel like you're doing as much of a time sink, and that makes sense as more content.
Tell you what, though, man, and that matters too. There would be days at a time that I would want to play, but every time I think, or I guess I would be playing, but there would be characters I would avoid just because I knew I'd have to go I gotta go all the way back to Hutta. Forget about it.
Yeah, and it's all the load screens. It's the 5 minutes of run here, wait, load screen, go here. Yeah, it just kills you.
I would love it if you could automate simple, super tedious tasks. Stuff that you would expect any responsible character. If you're in a safe zone and it's going to take 20 minutes to get on this shuttle and run over to this blob and do this, I wish you could just indicate hey man, get over there. I'm going to go play a different character and I'll come back in 20 and hopefully you'll be on the same planet.
Yeah, who knows? Give it time. Maybe, you can program your speeder to go. That was something I always wanted in Galaxies too. It never came. You program your vehicle to go right where you want it to go, and then let it autopilot you there,
Yeah, have it become
a taxi. You can actually type while you can interact and stuff. I mean, we live in a future where you got droids all over the place, but you can't have a car that drives itself.
Exactly. So, let's see. They were going away. Oh, and there was some teasing and innuendo that there's a bunch of stuff coming for crafting at Endgame. So, for those who feel like you hit 50 and then there's nothing to make, apparently this update's going to add a bunch of stuff in there. It's going to make it worth our while. So, post 1.2, bunch of things I'm excited about. I didn't understand this first complaint until I started playing a Jedi Knight, and then I got it. I went through all this trouble to make my Jedi Knight pretty and cute, woman, and red hair and the whole 9 yards, make her all look the way I want her to look. And then she proceeds to spend the rest of the game hiding under a hood.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's
the way.
Annoying.
I fussed all over my agent's hair, and now she's wearing a big old helmet and looks silly. And you're like, oh, come on.
Well, the helmets you can turn off under preferences.
Yeah, you can turn off and on, but the cloaks or the hoods are attached to the cloaks, aren't they?
Yeah, and you can't turn them on and off. So apparently we're getting an option to put the hoods up and down. So that's coming post this 1.0.
No, but they said you still get the armor benefit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like in the case of Flatus, if you don't like the helmet she's wearing, you can go into preferences. I believe it's under the social tab, and you can say hide your helmet.
Yeah, hide my helmet.
And
I always did that.
Such a counterintuitive thing. It never would have occurred to me to look for that feature. At no point would I have thought, hey, I'll bet there's a way to display her head, but not get the benefit of the helmet.
It's actually like a basic appearance option in every single MMO ever.
Yeah, see, that's one of those MMO literacy things I just know on because I didn't play well.
Even EverQuest has that. Like any game I've ever tried in MMOs, like you get a
City of Heroes. City of Heroes. You had a helmet, you wear that helmet.
So that's coming. So I'm like, okay, that's nice. Hiding companions' gear, the way you can a companion character, that's coming. Here's one for you, Brian. Here's one for you. Mobile device app to manage crew skills.
Yay! I've
Yeah.
been asking. Okay, now this is close, but what I've been asking for years is something that lets you play and generate XP on the road. I understand that the mobile management tool of some variety is good, but there is so much dead time I have at the airport, and I don't care if I'm earning XP at a quarter of what I would be earning at sitting at the desktop. I wish I could like play and generate XP and continue to work to advance my character during all this dead time that I'm on the road.
Well, what this does mean is most likely you're going to be able to level up your crew skills.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, you may not be able to get adventure XP.
That's a good point.
So you'll still be able to do stuff. It's just, you won't be out there actually questing and things like that. But, there's people who are doing this now, but they're basically just, using like VPN or something to just get into the game.
Yeah, go to my PC or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's actually somebody who made an app that's specific for, tour, but to do the crew skills. But it basically, all it really is just, going back to my Mac, VPN, whatever it might be. So that's basically all it's doing.
Yeah.
So if they actually have one that's got an actual UI of its own and everything, that would be awesome.
But no, I
really look
agree.
forward to
I
that.
kind of like Brian's idea though of being able to care like the way you send your crew on like sort of mini missions, that you never really see or witness. They just you should be able to do that for your character.
Play the game as a droid, like you control. I don't know, the internal workings of a droid. So it's like you're not even really watching the quest. You're just seeing the quest from the droid's point of view. And your job is only to heal. And you just see everything as numbers and symbols and stuff. And meanwhile, in the game, it auto follows the team and you're actually doing something. That would be rad.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah, like a little turn-based RPG or something for a second to just kind of do some stuff in the game.
Or
how about space battles on my iPhone? How if I could do space missions?
Oh my goodness, yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great.
I love the space battles, but it makes me sit there and go, man, I wish they had pod racing. It really does. Like, I really want more variety in the space missions are fun and all, but I've done these like ad nauseum a while now. It's like I want to do some speeder racing, stuff like that. Like, it's like, give me more of that. And you're right, though, it'd be perfect for the mobile platform. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
They already had the pod racing video game, and then I think it got ported down to some mobile stuff, so you totally have something like that.
Nice. Also, they've said that chat bubbles will be making a return. They were in beta at one point, and they were removed for some performance issues. And I've talked about on the show before that chat bubbles for spatial, and nearby chat are a must just for to know who the hell's trying to talk to you sometimes, And so I'm glad that's coming. And also they mentioned more robust looking for group tool, more emotes planned. This is going to be one of the perks of the legacy system. Is someone had said, oh, hey, any chance we're going to be able to get some new emotes like that meditation I see some of the NPCs doing? And they said, oh, well, there's a bunch of stuff coming in the legacy system. And one of them is including your companion dancing with you. Which,
really?
Yeah, which I've said I've wanted to do. I'm like, they just stand there when I'm goofing around. I'm like, they should be able to join me. Apparently, it's a legacy perk.
Right on.
Speaking of minigames, this is the last bit I have here. This came out of the Q&A, and I wanted to actually copy the response verbatim. Someone had asked, do you plan to have minigames like swoop races or Pazak? And if so, what is the priority for this? Can we expect them this year? Damon Schubert, who is I believe the lead game designer, I think. We love minigames, especially the ones that speak to the heritage of Knights of the Old Republic. Pazak, for those who don't know, was a great side minigame in the you could play. When would something like Pazak make its way to you? Hard to say. It's not on our immediate horizon, and we most likely do it at a point where we want to make a large splash. So this is a little disheartening because it doesn't sound like we're getting anything like that anytime soon.
But it sounds to me like what he's saying, though, too, is that when it comes, they want to do it right, and they want to actually spend some time. So he's saying, we want to make a large splash. We don't want to put this out as just another thing in a big patch with all kinds of operations and all this other stuff. And then, and here's the side game. I think they want to really present this as a big deal. So it sounds like it's coming, just not soon.
Right now, they're in a place where their number one priority has to be to get everything working 100%. And there still are these little things that are still broken in the game. And I would imagine that they would probably get a bit of a PR backlash if they come out with Pazak and they're like, man, you're telling me my robot's broken and I still can't do this and there's no speech bubbles and you guys are making some question, some side game.
Fair enough. You make a very valid point on that. And you're right. So, all right. Well, at least we know that they know it's wanted and, at some point we'll get it. We'll get that kind of stuff. It just seems to me like when I'm hanging out on my ship, right? Every ship has a little cubby that has a hollow chess table. And just next time you're on your ship, look at it and then tell me it doesn't seem like that's just begging to be enhanced with some sort of mini game you can sit there and play.
Sure, yeah. Play or even just do the thing that it says it's supposed to do. Let's play some hollow chess.
Yeah, so so it's just very cool. So for those who haven't been paying attention, it looks like they're doing them on Fridays now. They do these Q&A. So every week they post a message to the forum saying, post your questions here and we'll answer them. And there's been a lot of stuff about PvP and fixes, tweaks, things like that. And so it was nice this time around. We got a bit more info about social items and gear and whatnot. But they seem to answer them every Friday. Seems to be a great resource to kind of see where where their heads are at and what they're doing. So I kind of want to touch base on that. Before we wrap it up, I know Brian's on the road, so I don't want to keep him super, super long like we did last time. So, and I know Dills has got important things to do.
Nah, I'm going to play Reckoning all night after this.
So, but we do have some feedback. I have an email and a voicemail, so you can send us email at thecantinaband@gmail.com or send us voicemail at 1330 TCB Talk. That's 822-8255. Don't be shy. And if you have something interesting to say, we'll say it. I got an email from Roger. Can
I read it? Can I read it?
Yes, by all means, please do.
All right, this is my best impression of Roger.
All right.
Actually, no, I'm not gonna. I was gonna do a funny voice, but I'm not going to. Adam or co-host, whoever was level 30 or level 50 on episode 6, you're neither wrong nor right, but more misleading the listeners regarding your crafting tips. Yes, it may be more convenient, less costly to craft at 50, but then what's the point? It's not necessary to buy every recipe available in the class trainer, and if people are actually gather nodes or slain mobs, etc., near them, at least 2 of the gathering skills should be up to par.
Whew.
What does he mean by that? He's saying like, yeah, you could wait, but you're a stingy old bastard, and there's no reason to have done that.
Sort of. To refresh folks, when Veronica was on, and this is still advice. I still stand by this. For your first character in the game, I do suggest kind of deciding what your crafting skill is going to be. Look at the codex and decide, I'm supposed to have this mission skill and I'm supposed to have this gathering skill. And then while you're playing the game, by all means, level your gathering skill. When those nodes come up for whatever you choose, be scavenging or archaeology or whatever, by all means, harvest those as you level. But don't kill yourself with the crafting or the mission skills, because they're cheap and affordable when you start. But if you're trying to use it to gear up your character, you will hit a point where it becomes so expensive to get those skills over, where you need them to be to make gear at your level, that you're going to be broke when you need money for your things like your vehicles.
Tell you, out of everything you had mentioned earlier, the thing that made the most sense to me was you were talking about the benefit of holding on to all this money in order to help out with your alts.
Yeah, and so that was my approach. Was once I hit 50, then I'll start worrying about crafting, and that's how I approached it. And I had a character at 50 that had access to, and if those don't know, at 50 there is a boatload of money to be made very, very easily, very, very quickly. You are instantly tapped into a nice cash flow. Right now 40K for a speeder skill seems insane. That's like nothing. That's doing, one mission, So, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Was once I had my character at 50 and I was like, okay, I'm going to work on my alts, it made it very easy to power through leveling that, craft, and made it very easy for me not just craft green, but then you turn that green into a blue recipe, and then you turn that blue into a purple recipe. And that's much easier to do when you have a whole bunch of resources behind you. And what I find is those purple recipes, way better than anything I'm getting as a reward at level on those alts. So that purple gear is lasting me 5-10 levels. So the first time through the game, and I'm going to stand by this, and maybe, he misunderstood me, really want to save your money and just use the gear you get as you level up. Once you've had that one character through the game, then start playing with crafting. Now, I think if you're going to be an effective crafter, you have to learn all the recipes. And that means learning them and turning them into blues and then reverse engineering them into purples and then being the guy who can make all that stuff. If you're going to do crafting, do it right. And if you're going to do it right, wait until you have one character at 50. I stand by that 100%.
This is actually fairly, this is kind of common in WoW too, is to just pick up like a bunch of gathering professions as you were leveling, and just make money only. Don't worry about making anything. Yeah. Don't worry about crafting anything. And then once you actually get to level cap, then go back and pick whatever it is you want, Yeah,
because crafting is in and of itself a very advanced mini game in a lot of ways, and you can really get sidetracked on that. I've seen it, and I see it constantly with guildies. I'm broke. If I buy my speeder skill, I can't afford to train my other skills. You've been leveling crafting, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Constantly. So I'm glad. So I'm not out on left field, Dills.
No. I think honestly, if your listener thought that you were telling everybody that you have to do it this way, and not just making a suggestion, then maybe that's where
maybe.
Yeah, because I think I think that's a fairly common suggestion, is to don't worry about the crafting stuff until you get to because you're not even going to use a lot of this stuff really. Like I've been doing some crafting, but I very quickly realized that I wasn't using any of the stuff I could craft yet.
Yeah.
And so basically what I did is all I did was send my companions on slicing missions. And that's all I've been doing. So slicing is like max. I got a bunch of money.
Yep.
And we've talked about this on the instance.
Matter of fact, you guys were talking about, and I'm with Scott.
Yeah,
Nerf that.
Slicing is kind of an annoying thing just to begin with, because it's like, give me money, like there's no real nothing. There's no thought process behind anything. But I'm not going to not get it, because
I hear
it's free money. So that's basically how I've been doing it. And I think that's, I think you could definitely, you can spend a lot of time crafting stuff you're not going to use, or you could spend a lot of time playing the game and then knocking it all out at once. So I think you're right on.
So am I making sense, Brian, or am I speaking like Latin?
Everything, and understand everything's theoretical to me. Like I don't pay attention. I blow people up, and when I get to the part where I'm like crafting something, and I ask, I'm like, what do I want to do? And this is what's great about having a guild is, I don't want to engage my brain enough to understand anything. So they're like, just do slicing. I'm like, okay, I'll do slicing. So if you tell me to just wait, then I'm going to wait, because that's the one thing that annoyed me was feeling like left out because I'm too stupid to know what to do. And and it's, me, it's like I'm busy enough that I can't afford to really invest the amount of time that to get the full effect I would need to. So I like being blissfully ignorant.
Yeah, like I said, crafting can become, and this comes from somebody who was at one point when I was playing, at the height of Star Wars Galaxies, when they did the Jump to Lightspeed expansion, I was heavily invested in crafting starships. I was one of the best and well-known, crafters on the server, cranking out master-level ships.
How fast could you make the Kessel run?
Way fast.
How many parsecs is that?
Oh my God! But in all seriousness, crafting in that game was very much, you could do nothing. You could just dedicate your whole game time to just crafting, and it becomes, almost a mini job in and of itself. And so I'm all about, if you're going to do that, by all means dive in and do that. I see how it's a valid thing, but yeah, there's gonna there very quickly becomes a point when you realize, I'll be at cap well before I'm gonna be done leveling this gear. So, but Roger, thank you for the email. So I just want to make that clear. It was a suggestion. Obviously, play how you're going to play. I'm not telling folks what to do, but if you just
heard Adam, you're a terrible person unless you obey his command.
All right. So before we wrap it up, we did get a voicemail. Again, more slightly different question about the whole crafting thing.
Hi, my name is Mirig, and I'm from the AIE Guild on Keller's Void. I'm playing Imperial side, and I just listened to the part about crafting. I wanted to get your guys' intake because at the high end crafting, I noticed that like it pretty much drops off at like level 48, and once you hit 50, things are replaced pretty quickly. So I just wanted to hear what you guys had to say. Thanks.
So he's right. Most of the recipes you get are 48 at highest. But here's what happens. When you reverse engineer a regular green recipe into a blue recipe, it actually goes up a level. It's more potent, basically. It's stronger. So it'll actually be a level 49. And if you reverse engineer that blue recipe into a purple recipe, it will actually sit as a level 50 item when you equip it. So he's right that there's not a lot of items, but there are a handful of items that can only be crafted by somebody at cap that fill in right now what is avoiding gear, and that would be like the bracers and belts. These are ricotta, purple level, super high end that are just, that rival or sit at right below operation level gears. So, but primarily, we've talked about a couple times in the show, I find it useful for gearing up alts. Like I was saying, I've made some gear, that, I know my character at this level is going to need a new chest piece. Let me start cranking this out so I get a purple chest piece. There you go. They're all set for a while until I have, moddable gear with it. So, but it really makes the alts a lot easier. Obviously, if you're playing on the Sith side primarily, that only is really effective if you're leveling Sith alts. Same thing for me with Republic side. I've got all these Republic alts. If I have if I rolled the Sith character, they're all out there on their lonesome. So, if you're not a crafter, you're not a crafter. Don't make yourself do it. There's plenty of other ways to get good gear, right, Dills? Hello?
Dills is dead.
No.
No, I'm just muted. Sorry. What's up, guys?
Oh,
I was talking, but then I realized I'd still muted myself because I'm usually pretty good at this. I'll mute myself in my chair. It creaks when I move it, and so I've gotten pretty used to it, but sometimes I forget.
No problem.
I don't know. To me, I'm not at max level, but it seems like that's just a design thing, right? That's basically how they want you to get to that level of crafting skill.
Yeah.
So, they want you to do that. They want you to build the object. They want you to reverse engineer it and then get lucky and get, the next recipe. So it's like they just built that in. But to me, right now, it's like I got gear coming out of my butt. I don't feel like the need for more stuff at this point. So
no, I agree. There's plenty. You can get by just fine if you haven't felt the urge. The reason I got interested in really crafting and I chose synth weaving was because, I like being, a bit of a clothing horse. I like having different outfits. I like and that was like the way I was in Galaxies. Like I rolled a tailor just so I could see and there were a lot of clothing options in Galaxies, but to see what everything was and to see what the color palettes were available and things like that. So, to get there and realize, oh, wow, I can only make 10 different chest pieces and they all kind of look the same or they're not anything I want to wear. I hope this will pay off later on. Like they said, there's more stuff coming. So, as time goes on, I'm sure that it'll become more worthwhile. But yeah, right now, you're not missing out on anything.
It really bothers me when there's professions in game that basically are useless. It's like when the gear that you can create is never going to be good enough to be, compared to the gear that you could get out of an operation or something like that.
Yeah.
That if that's the case, then there's just really no point even having it. So I hope that they consider that and make sure that whatever we're crafting, we got to have at least one thing that everybody wants, at the end.
Like I said,
it's really that good thing,
I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but I literally just finished training crafting skills on Adam, and a couple of them are ricotta level gear, and I suspect they will be on par with the ricotta gear in the vendor if I go look. So they may have done that. I just haven't made it yet because I don't have enough of the resources yet to pull it out. But yeah, I agree. If you're gonna make it, if you're gonna have the crafting in there, you got to make the items they make worthwhile. Or complete sets. And in my mind, that was it's because of the game I came from. It was a very player-driven economy. It was very player-driven gear. Player-crafted gear trumped anything you would ever loot. Same thing, with everything in the, housing, vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. So, I came from a world of having a lot of variety to, wow, I can't really put a skirt on my Jedi Knight female because she's going to be gimped, so I'm really hoping that opens up over time. That's the one thing, the customization in the clothing is really kind of missing. So, but anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Thank you for the email. I hear from AIE folks all the time. I made one appearance on the podcast and they're always like, oh, hey, you're the guy that was on that one time. I'm like, yeah. So I always appreciate you. I'm glad you folks are listening. Thank you. I think that's it for news and everything I had to talk about. And I think that's going to do it for a show. Brian, let's start with you. Anybody want to throw anything else out before you start?
No, I do. Listen, if there's one thing that's very important in Star Wars: The Old Republic, it's that you buy the new Scam School book coming out. It's March 14th on Pi Day. If you go to scamschoolbook.com, this is the result of a half year of effort. Yeah. Over 80 of the best tricks from Scam School, over 40 video illustrations. And if you have an iOS device, buy it on the iBook store. It's going to look the best on that. Everything will work on Amazon, but Amazon is so scattershot. Like some devices, it'll embed the videos. Other ones, you have to click on something and go to YouTube to watch it. And so we're doing our best to make it good on everything, but the iOS devices are going to be best.
Yeah, I've seen previews of it, and it looks sexy. Like, really, they're doing something, dare I say, award-winningly different?
Yeah, no, we already won, just even in pre-production, out of the 600 books on development on the book.com platform, they awarded us, they had 3 awards, Best Content, Best Layout, and Best Overall. And they gave us best overall, so that's not the nothing.
So it's very sharp, very clever. How about you, Dills? What would you like folks to know about you or promote?
Well, if you want to listen to me talk about this game with Scott Johnson, you can listen to the Instance Tour edition, and you can find us at theinstance.net/tour. Also, theinstance.net, that's where we do the WoW show, where that was kind of a spin-off of. That's still going, although I haven't been on it for a while due to work, but and all of this stuff you can just find out if you just follow me on Twitter. I am at Willie Dills, so go ahead and just do that. And I tell everybody about whatever I'm doing, so it's the best way to go. Plus, I say stupid things like, who wants to run a Flashpoint at like 2 a.m. or whatever it was last night?
I almost replied to you, but I wasn't sure what level you were.
I was actually not even in a state where I should have wanted to do a Flashpoint. I was like on my way home. And I'm thinking, this will be great. I'm going to do a Flashpoint. And then I'm glad that all my responses came this morning because I should have just gone to bed. And that's what I did.
Well, I appreciate you coming here. As for me, hey, follow me on Twitter, AT0MXII. And for those of you who don't know, I do another show, a weekly show, just to prove I can do a weekly show.
Hey, hold on. That's me you're saying that about.
It's called Collection DX. For those who don't know, I'm assistant editor of collectiondx.com, the website where we review Japanese toys, collectibles, stuff like that. And we're doing a weekly show based on that content. Been very popular. We get a lot of eyeballs. Folks seem to really enjoy it. So if you want to see me geek out over cool toys, you can check that out. Every Friday night, a new episode goes up on collectiondx.com. So check that out. I'd appreciate it. We love you, Brian. I'm just teasing you. Folks really do understand.
Yeah, that's right. I have it coming.
You're busy. Well, we'll get it in when we can. And hey, maybe in the meantime, Dills and Scott will be nice and let me be on their show again. So I'm
sure we'd love to have you again. Yeah, it was great having you on. So
yeah, I'm just teasing. Anytime, though, anytime. You know me. I'm always looking for an outlet. Believe me, people around me are tired of me talking about this game. Trust me.
We're not, and we'll definitely have you on again soon.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, for listening. And, hey, enjoy the game. Say hi in-game. And take care. Bye.
Hey, we don't serve their kind here.
What, who, the droids?
We can make them wait outside.
No, the droids are fine. But you two will have to wait outside.
Okay.
Don't worry, Master. I'll get you drinks to go.
See, I told you we'd get thrown out.
So it's true, you do get thrown out everywhere you go.
Dude, we didn't even set anything on fire this time. Fine.
Oh my.